So my name is Clara. My channel is Clara of the Wood, and I'm just kind of figuring this out. But what I am making for you is content about deconstruction and healing from religious trauma and the art that I am making to help myself heal. So yeah, welcome. So what I wanted to do today is show you and talk about where I'm at, what I've been doing in this current art journal. I've made one video about it before, but not the art part of it. It's just about this book, which came from the IBLP religious Christian fundamentalist cult. My mom grew up in it, and so there's a lot to unpack from that and how it affected me and my upbringing, and I decided to tear it up and make it into whatever I want it to be. An art journal, something like that. So I wanted to talk about what's been coming up and what I've been doing in it before I get too far, because there is a lot in this. The other video I've made about it was more just talking about some of the harmful teachings from it. There's a lot of really toxic stuff, really awful things that it intended to teach kids and did teach kids. And yeah, I just have a lot of opinions, a lot of feelings about it. And I know I want to do at least one more video more on the psychological effects that the type of stuff in this book has, but right now I want to just talk about the art that I've started making itself. And so when I do these books, I don't do it in any kind of order. I mean, I do typically go like front to back, but I skip pages, I jump around, I do whatever inspires me. So most of these pages, if not all of them, are not done. They're just in a state of being worked on, and I'm enjoying it. I'm really enjoying the process. So yeah, I wanted to kind of show you what I've got. So the first page, I just did some gesso over the title page, and then this one, it has this little illustration here, so I'll read you what I wrote next to it. When you live in a wondrous, mysterious, intricate, wild, beautiful, frightening, dazzling world, and you're really quite small, let me tell you a secret. All of us are. It's good to stare and wonder. It's good to watch and learn. Questions are marvelous. Discoveries are grand. Magic is everywhere once you adjust your eyes and understand. No one has all the answers, and no one speaks for God. There is light, there is dark. Neither is total, neither is bad. Follow the mysteries, follow the love. Life follows death as death follows life. Nothing is permanent. Let this move you. Grief is for you. Be wild, be hungry, be true in your bones. Let smallness be your gift. Be watchful, be knowing, be annoying to bullies. Learn which creatures see you as prey. Be canny, be cunning, be sassy and stunning. You're a smart little thing. Your instincts are good. Trust them. Use them. They will save your life. Your life is worth saving. Always. No question. Just as you are. So that's the first page. And then this one, I've got something I'm planning to write on this one, but I am not sure yet if I'm going to do that there, but I just put it in there with it. And I've decided to leave the like little library number copyright thing on it. I don't know why. It just seemed fun. I don't know. It just seemed right, I guess. And then this one, I've been playing with some inks that I thrifted, which has been fun, on gesso and with different colors. And then I put a Virginia Woolf quote in this one where she says, "It is only by putting it into words that I make it whole. This wholeness means that it has lost its power to hurt me. Perhaps because by doing so I take away the pain. A great delight to put the severed parts together. From this I reach what I might call a philosophy. That we, I mean all human beings, are connected with this. That the whole world is a work of art. that we are parts of the work of art. And then this is the page I've gotten the furthest on. If you're not familiar with the IBLP and Bill Gothard's doctrine teaching stuff, he's the guy that came up with the idea of the umbrella of authority, if you've heard of that. This idea that you're only safe when you're in submission to your authority figures, being your parents, male leader. If you're a woman, you're always under a man. So I wrote, "What a fool I'd be to trust such authority again, because when the umbrella blew away, the torment subsided, and the sun was nurturing and kind." And then I've got a little postcard. You can see the sort of the diagram he created of how authority works and protection works, clearly. This book is going to be very heavy in my deconstruction and religious trauma processing, because this book is so freaking full of really damaging things, and things that affected me growing up. So this one I want to do some kind of cutout here, which is why I painted this side, so it'll be a cutout into that, whatever I decide to put there. So I'm just put another quote by Clarissa Pinkola Estes, author of Women Who Run with the Wolves, this book. So it says, "So if women must, they will paint blue sky on jail walls. If the skeins are burnt, they will spin more. If the harvest is destroyed, they will sow more immediately. Women will draw doors where there are none, and open them and pass through into new ways and new lives. Because the will of nature persists and prevails, women persist and prevail." Here, see some different things. Put a little note that I found that I wrote a couple years ago about the gift and the blessing of smallness. Cults like this, fundamental religions, they put all this pressure. Like, there's such a sense of like, it's your responsibility and it's your ability to stay perfectly within the lines that keeps not only you safe, but like keeps the whole world safe. It's a really awful thing that it does to you. I've been kind of having to process a lot of that myself, but that's part of why I spend a lot of time in this and in my journals and stuff talking about how I've found so much peace in my obscurity, in my smallness, in my inconsequentialness. And I know a lot of that just comes from growing up, you know, in the environment I did with the fundamentalism, but also the extreme end times evangelicalism, the idea that like you could be the thing that makes everything change, but also you're nothing, you're worthless without God, all of that. Like, it's a very weird and confusing dichotomy that they create. It doesn't ever completely make sense. You know, when you put it all together, it doesn't add up to something that like you can actually hold. But there's power in being small, and there's power in, my cat's coming, you can hear his bell. There's power in being small, power in not being what is considered powerful. But there's also a lot of freedom and like relief and healing and just like grace, weight taking off of your shoulders, that kind of thing, about being small as well. You know, like, I can't change that much, I can't do that much, and that's okay. Like, that's what I am. I'm a human. I'm small, I'm inconsequential, so everything I get to do and I do accomplish is kind of like a bonus. Okay, so part of what I wanted to get to, Gothard really twists stuff in weird ways, like this whole section on Moses. Actually, I might save that one. I don't know. I've been writing a script to try to like do more of the actual breakdown of these things, and I think I'll go over it in that. So stay tuned. Though it'll probably be a while because I'm so slow at editing. I hope this one isn't as slow to edit. But I have a lot of videos in the editing bay, so I don't know when this one will come out in relation to all of those, but it will. It'll come. And I think I forgot to say, but this is the character sketches, Gothard's character sketches books. This is volume 2. So one thing that I've been processing a lot with this book, I feel like every single thing, every single attribute he covers, every single Bible story he works in, he just always twists absolutely everything into you're a servant. All your worth is in how you serve. And it is so gross to me. Like, I think it's great to care for others and to want to help people and to, have that. But there's got to be a balance, right? There's got to be other things that matter. And if every single virtue or attribute or whatever you want to call it that you're teaching gets twisted into how it's serving others and especially serving authority, it's really weird. It's about serving authority, not about serving anybody else, which, like, Jesus said to serve the least of these, not the pastor. He condemned the religious Pharisees and all of that. He said to serve the poor. He said to feed the hungry and shelter the homeless and, take in the orphan and the widow and all of that. He said to serve the least of these. Gothard never mentions that at all. In fact, in this one, which is like flexibility, it says, like, right at the beginning, the highest praise that can be given to one who serves is that he accomplished the task with the same efficiency and quality as the one who assigned it would have. I don't know. I've been in the workforce for over half my life now. The people assigning tasks often aren't capable of doing the tasks they're assigning. So it's kind of weird to say, oh, do it up to his standard. Like, he could fucking cook a meal, okay, to any standard. It's just delusional. And I wrote on here, this is slave master preaching. This is so dehumanizing. And it is. It's absolutely so dehumanizing to say that the highest praise you can be given is that you served with efficiency. No, that's not the highest praise a person can be given, or a person under someone's authority can be given. That's just laughable. This one I've just painted. I love this color. This one, these are very in process again, remember. But on this one I just wrote, after I did like these little ink birds and stuff, we never wanted to be perfect. We just wanted to be young. Would you believe? Just a cutout from a vintage magazine. This one. And this one I wrote, there's a small voice in my head that keeps saying, I'm sorry for hurting. How do I let her know that it's okay and our pain makes sense? I will be honest, like, working on this and starting to make this content, being a lot more like intentional about healing and processing this stuff, there's been a lot more like flashbacks, and it's hard. It's hard diving back into it, but I think this is like the alchemy that is the healing, And in this one, is it flexibility or evolution? And the little heading on that one, on that chapter is flexibility is changing plans if unexpected conditions require it. And then the interesting thing, I think part of why I chose to do it on this page is the verse that he put with it is actually the first Bible verse I ever had to memorize as a little kid. I think I was probably like 4. And it says, be anxious for nothing, but with prayer and petition, make your requests known to God. That's the version I learned, the NIV probably. I think this is the New King James or something, but be anxious for nothing, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God. And the peace of God, which passeth, oh my God, this is definitely Old King James. And the peace of God, which passeth all understanding, shall keep your hearts and minds through Christ Jesus. Philippians 4, 6, and 7. So yeah, I was an anxious kid. Very, very anxious. I wonder why. No, I think it's weird that he put that verse there with that one, but this one I've just got written at the top. How long will the small remain the collateral damage in their endless holy war? Got all these pictures, a few pictures of me, my little sister, and some of the kids I've worked with over the years, because it really is the kids that get the worst of it. This one I just wrote, you can trust your many ways of being. This This one I've just painted over. I haven't added anything to it yet. This one's fun. I haven't written anything, but I like what I've painted. And this is a cutout from a vintage magazine that I have. I've got a whole bunch of them, actually. A bunch of vintage magazines that I found them at a garage sale really long time ago. This one I got, I said, I can't say if the universe is conscious, but it's certainly becoming conscious as if it wasn't before us. I don't know if I'll keep that. Alertness is another one of the attributes. And actually, alertness was the first attribute that tipped me off to like, this is not a normal kid's book. Like, that is a weird virtue. Alertness. Anyway, I put alertness is just the predator's word for hypervigilance. Because I think it is. So this one I haven't painted over yet, but you can see it. It's another alertness one, but he's got these like little write-ups he puts at the beginning of every section. This is so stupid. Okay, this is so not what the research says. If you know anything about parenting research and child development, all of that. So listen. Many parents wonder why they have problems with their sons and daughters. They don't realize what a father allows in moderation, his children may excuse in excess. That's stupid. That's stupid. I even wrote it right here. This is stupid. As I wrote a while ago, because I've just been like writing because it like, if it makes me mad, I was like, I'll write what I think. So I wrote, it's a caregiver's job to model and teach moderation. A dynamic like this is, however, often created, according to the research, created by excessive restriction and authoritarian parenting. The very parenting Gothard teaches, upholds, highlights, whatever you want to say, that extreme authoritarian submit, that actually creates the excess, because these kids have never learned how to regulate or how to find what moderation is. It's always been extreme no's. It's always been extreme restrictions. So if you've never had the opportunity to find your own limits and your own boundaries, you believe there are none. You're never going to have those healthy boundaries until you figure them out, or unless that's modeled to you. But the extremes of a religion like this, of a cult or a group like this, is doing the opposite of teaching moderation, because everything is either demonic or a way for Satan to get you, or gonna cause you to fall, gonna, jeopardize your immortal soul kind of thing. And that's definitely not how you learn moderation or self-regulation or healthy boundaries. Any of that. When to quit, when to stop, when to say no. You're not going to learn that unless you're given those chances and those opportunities to figure that out in safe and healthy ways when you're young, or if it's modeled. Actually, ideally, there would be both of those things. Yeah, and what Gothard has going on here is the opposite of that. Instead, he's just like, go harder, restrict more, don't allow anything. Like, what a father allows in moderation, children may excuse in excess. What? No, actually, a father allowing something in moderation and demonstrating and modeling moderation is going to help his kids have moderation towards other things. That's how it works. What he's saying is not true. It's nonsense. And people that think they've witnessed that probably have only actually experienced extremes. Extreme restriction. Yeah. Anyway. Ridiculous. And this one, fear does not keep you safe. Speaks for itself. And just gluing stuff, painting stuff. This one I haven't quite figured out how I'm not sure if I'm gonna use this picture or not. Here, I've got some bats here. And I just put, sometimes I think they just hated that I made my own light. Like this one, I haven't painted this one yet, but you can just see that image? Like, when I say this man uses fear, it's like he uses nothing but fear. And to kids that have experienced like the harsh corporal punishment that Gothard encourages, like I did, a picture like that's terrifying. Doesn't even look that bad. But a kid getting grabbed by a big man, yikes. Nothing good is coming for that kid. Whatever this story ends up trying to say. That's just something you know when you're being raised in this environment. But yeah, I'll show more of these pages later when they're further along. Your alertness is anticipating the actions of those who seek to harm us. And then let's have a bird flying away, a bird getting stalked by a dog. Everything's about being hunted, being in danger. The verse for this too. A prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself, but the simple pass on and are punished. Like, even just like, I realize it's the translation, but the choice of the word being punished just for not foreseeing a danger. That's gross. I'm sorry. If you get hurt, you didn't do something wrong by not seeing it coming. Typically. This one I did while I was playing with new paints I got for my birthday. I'm just enjoying it, playing with stuff. So just painted. Got something I wrote, but I don't know if I'm gonna actually put that there. And then this one, you can see in my last video about this book, but there's this is the page where he goes into King David's daughter Tamar's story. She's his daughter who gets SA'd by her brother. Really disgusting story. You can see the other video about it, but he makes it all about how she should have been able to avoid it, and failure to anticipate evil intentions brought shame and death to her family. Disgusting. Absolutely gross. Why doesn't it say Ammon's violent, disgusting, horrific action is what brought shame and death to the family? She didn't choose that. Also, it says in one part that like she must have been modest, so it couldn't, because of like what the traditional clothes were. As one of the king's daughters who wore the customary long-sleeved robe, Tamar's dress would have been impeccably modest. I don't know how he knows what they were wearing back then, but then you look at the illustration here. She's not wearing long sleeves, like he said. So that's fun too. Dude can't even be consistent in his own work. And I just wrote, I don't know if I will, but I just wrote, I think I'll leave this whole page in as evidence of Gothard's shame. Then on the other side I wrote, what a vile, horrendous, evil thing to teach to children. Just a fraction of the harm that he has caused. And then I want to put the Bible verse about causing children to stumble and millstone around the neck type of thing. You know? I don't know why they don't remember that verse more often when they're hurting kids. Actually, I do, but... So right after alertness, you've got availability, which that totally adds up. That totally makes so much sense. Brilliant. But yeah, I just wrote, my worth is not connected to my availability. My needs matter. My life belongs to me. And honestly, like, this one, the availability stuff is like a lot of what I've been probably working on recently for myself, because I'm an oldest daughter. I've got your classic oldest daughter problems. I have such a hard time valuing my needs, prioritizing my needs, meeting my needs. And I've got another video in the works that I'm writing that I'm planning to put out about that more. Story type of thing. But this is just so toxic. Like the Bible verse he puts it there is, and whoever will be chief among you, let him be your servant. Even as the Son of Man came not to be ministered unto, but to minister, and to give his life a ransom for many. Matthew 20:27-28. And it's like, Jesus wasn't talking about serving the master, unless God is your master. But he was not talking about serving pastors, parents, religious leaders. He was talking about serving the least of these. He was talking about meeting the needs of the misfortunate, of those who are struggling and suffering. But heaven forbid, he will never acknowledge that, I'm sure. And then like the way he breaks it down is, availability is serving my family first before I consider other needs or wants. Availability is refusing to be deterred by deceptive distractions. It's rejecting ambitions that hinder us from being where we are needed. It is standing by a task until it is fully completed. Ugh, so gross. It's so gross. Serving my family first before I consider other needs or wants. No. Meet your needs. Get your needs met. That is so not healthy to be teaching a kid. Okay. This one, I like what I've done with this one. This is just a little painting I did a while ago, and I glued it in. It says, I go at my own pace. Because I like snails. Because they go at their own pace. Let's see. I need to stop. I could just show you these without holding it all up, but I actually really like how this one looks. But I haven't written anything in it yet. Most of these now are just some backgrounds I've painted. Then this one I've been working on the most. It's just I'm just adding more and more colors and layers and stuff, playing with it. This is from like some coffee that I got, or that my sister sent from a shop she used to work at. So in this one, I'm probably gonna say something like, if perfect love casts out all fear, and God is love, and then it'll open up and say, why is there so much fear? I've got a lot more to say about that, but that conflict of like, perfect love casts out all fear, God is love, there should be no fear with when you have God, all of that contrasted with how like in so many Christian books, sermons, conferences, YouTube videos, whatever you want to consume from Christians, they use so much fear even to talk to their own. It's like, are you really saved? Are you sure? Are you really saved? And it's like, you're talking to Christians supposedly. Why are you still harping on this? Is there not other things that are edifying and good and worth discussing? Like, I'm not sure why constantly making people doubt their salvation is actually benefiting anybody. Never made sense to me. But if anyone over relies on fear to get their message across, it's Gothard. Oh my gosh. It's crazy. Just adding some painting and stuff. This is most of what I've got in here. Oh, here's one. He puts, Scripture warns that anyone who flatters his neighbor spreads a net for his feet. What leader was flattered by a group of neighbors and stumbled into their net? Who surrounded himself by yes men to the point that him doing things that explicitly conflicted with his own teachings in their presence and to their knowledge, yet they said nothing? Gothard. That's what he did. That's what he did. If he had surrounded himself with people that actually could have called him on stuff and held him to an actual standard and didn't just treat him as like a messiah or a prophet, he probably wouldn't be kicked out of his own cult for, assaulting minors and women. So, well done, dude. Well done. You really, really internalized your own message. Yeah, I haven't just painted over that page, put in this one. I think that's about all I've got so far. Yeah, I did this one the other day, just playing with paints and tissue paper and stuff. Yeah, and this one is just more than my endurance. But yeah. In this one, he has taken a parable, one of Jesus's parables, which, again, parables are teaching stories. They're not things that literally happened. They are stories that convey ideas, philosophies. They're supposed to make you think. Often what Jesus would do when his followers asked him like a direct question of like right or wrong, or what should we do here? How should we judge this? All of that. He'd tell a story. Why? Well, I think it's pretty clear. Stories cause us to think. Stories change us. Stories move us. Stories stick with us. When you're looking for a black and white answer, a yes or no, a sin or not sin type of label for something, you're not growing. You're just looking for law. You're just looking for rules, which, by the way, a lot of Christians understand the Gospels. What Jesus did once he came was that he came to fulfill the law, and he came to show us a higher morality, a way of learning and deciphering for ourselves what is right, what is good, what is edifying, what is pure, what is lovely, whatever is of good report, you know? So, in a way, he gave them something better than what they were looking for, right? They wanted a law, they wanted a rule, they wanted a black and white type of thing, and what he provided was a story. Something you have to sit with, something you have to digest, something different people might have different interpretations of. And I love that. To me, that's one of the most like beautiful and progressive things that Jesus brought, you know, in a lot of ways. And so what Gothard's done in this one is he's taken a parable, one that's also about salvation. It's weird because the way he like tries to make it mean something while also combining it with an Old Testament story actually like completely messes up the parable that he's using. Ugh, it's so dumb. There's a lot more. I'm gonna do this again at some point with the rest of it probably, because there's just more in here than I can cover in one or two videos. But yeah, that's what I've been working on. I know this has been a good thing for me to be doing. I feel like it's already brought in healing for me. It's already had some cool results. There's something too about making my art in this book that's just feels like permission, but also feels right and healing. Yeah. You know, 15-year-old me, I think would have probably enjoyed this, but also been pretty scandalized by it, you know? To tear out, to face something so big that was so meaningful for people in my own family for quite a while. But to me, the teachings in this book were a source of harm, a source of trauma, a source of death to the truth that's in me and in others. And I'm making something beautiful out of it anyway, which is all I really want to do with my life, is make something beautiful out of pain and out of harm and out of tragedy and trauma. That's the meaning that feels right for me. Also, part of that healing is talking about it and sharing it. So I am really thankful that you're here and that I am in an age where I can do this and I can film stuff on my phone and put it on YouTube, and that's just an option. Other women in my family all have a lot of religious trauma. There's a long line of it, and it stops with us. It stops with me. So if this offends you, sorry. What's in it offends me, so I'm making it right in my own way. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for being here. I'd love it if you stuck around, if you commented. I'd love to know what you're thinking, what your thoughts are, if this type of stuff has affected you in any way. I know you don't need my permission, but sometimes we feel like we need permission. So this is your permission to do something scandalous and defacing to the shit that has harmed you. Tear it up, paint over it, write something that would make them so angry on it, and have fun. Why not, right? So thanks for being here. I want to keep posting more about art, more of my stories of deconstruction and religious trauma and healing, and maybe even some of the stuff going on in my life right now. Welcome. I hope you're having a good day and that you're taking good care of yourself. All right. Bye.